In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where manicured lawns hid the secrets of fractured families, Elara's story began not with a birth, but with an adoption that promised hope. It was 2005, and little Elara, just 3 years old, had been found wandering the streets of a bustling city, her tiny hands clutching a faded photograph of a woman she couldn't remember. The authorities called it a miracle when Anya and Viktor Harlow, a childless couple in their 30s, stepped forward to adopt her. Anya, with her sharp features and impeccable style, had cradled Elara in her arms that day, whispering, "You're home now, my sweet girl. Mommy will always love you." For the first few years, it was true. Elara grew up in a world of bedtime stories and homemade cookies. Viktor, a mid-level accountant with a gentle smile, taught her to ride a bike on weekends. Anya, who worked as a real estate agent, dressed her in frilly dresses and enrolled her in ballet classes. "You're our little princess," Anya would say, brushing Elara's raven hair until it shone. Elara believed it with all her heart. She didn't know then that love could be conditional, like a lease on a house that could be revoked at any moment. But everything changed on a crisp autumn morning in 2009. Elara, now 7, woke to the sound of sirens and frantic voices downstairs. She pattered down the stairs in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes, only to find the living room transformed into a whirlwind of activity. Paramedics hovered around Anya, who lay on the couch, pale but beaming. Viktor paced the floor, his phone glued to his ear. "It's a girl," he announced triumphantly as the baby was placed in Anya's arms. Serena Harlow had arrived, Anya's biological miracle after years of failed fertility treatments. From that instant, the cradle rocked and Elara's world crumbled. Anya's eyes, once warm for Elara, now sparkled only for the newborn. "Look at her, Viktor. She's perfect. Our real daughter," Anya cooed, her voice dripping with a possessiveness that excluded Elara entirely. Elara approached timidly, peering at the tiny bundle. "Can I hold her, Mommy?" she asked, her voice small. Anya glanced up, her expression hardening for the first time. "Not now, Elara. Go play in your room. This is a family moment." The words stung like a slap. Viktor, caught in the joy, didn't notice. He ruffled Elara's hair absent-mindedly. "Be a good big sister, okay?" As days turned to weeks, the shift became undeniable. Elara's toys were pushed aside to make room for Serena's nursery. Her ballet lessons were cancelled. "We need the money for the baby's things," Anya explained curtly. Meals that once included Elara's favorite pancakes now revolved around Serena's feeding schedule. One evening, as Elara sat at the dinner table, pushing peas around her plate, she mustered the courage to speak. "Mommy, do you still love me?" Anya paused, her fork midway to her mouth. "Of course, but Serena needs me more right now. You're a big girl. You can take care of yourself." Viktor nodded along, avoiding Elara's gaze. That night, Elara cried herself to sleep, clutching the faded photograph from her past, the only remnant of a life before this one. Years blurred into a pattern of neglect. By the time Elara was 16 in 2018, she had become the invisible servant in her own home. She cooked, cleaned, and babysat Serena, now a spoiled 9-year-old with golden curls and a sharp tongue. Anya's love for Elara had died the day Serena was born, replaced by jealousy and resentment toward the adopted stray who dared share their space. But Elara held on, dreaming of a day when things might change, unaware that the cracks in her world were about to widen into chasms. Elara's 16th birthday dawned like any other day, unremarked and uncelebrated. She rose at 5 a.m., as she did every morning, to prepare breakfast for the family. The kitchen smelled of fresh coffee and toast, but there was no cake, no balloons, no happy birthday song. Serena's birthdays were extravaganzas with bouncy castles and piles of gifts, but Elara's? They had faded into oblivion after Serena's arrival. That afternoon, while scrubbing the floors, Elara overheard Anya on the phone. "Yes, the party's tonight. Serena turns 10. Can you believe it? We're having a massive cake, from that fancy bakery downtown. Elara's stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since dawn. Her meals often skipped to save food for the real family. As evening fell, guests arrived, filling the house with laughter and the scent of vanilla frosting. The cake was a masterpiece. 3 tiers of pink fondant adorned with edible pearls and a crown topper. "For my princess," Anya gushed, hugging Serena. Elara watched from the kitchen doorway, her patched apron dusted with flour. Hunger gnawed at her, but more than that, a deep ache for belonging. When the party wound down and the remnants were cleared, a single slice of cake sat forgotten on the counter. It called to her like a forbidden treasure. Glancing around, Elara reached out with trembling fingers and took a tiny bite. The sweetness exploded on her tongue, chocolate and cream, a rare indulgence. But fate, cruel as ever, intervened. Anya burst into the kitchen, her eyes narrowing. "What are you doing?" she shrieked. Before Elara could swallow, Anya's hand cracked across her cheek, the slap echoing like thunder. "You thief! That's Serena's cake!" Guests peeked in, whispering. Viktor appeared, frowning. "Anya, calm down, it's just a bite." "Just a bite." Anya's voice rose to a hysterical pitch. "She's always taking what's not hers. Adopted trash, thinking she deserves our things." She grabbed Elara by the arm, dragging her into the living room where servants and lingering guests watched. "Everyone see this? This is what happens when you let strays in. Apologize, Elara!" Tears streamed down Elara's face, her cheek burning. "I'm sorry," she whispered, humiliated. Serena, peeking from the doorway, wore a blank expression, no sympathy, just curiosity like watching a bug squirm. Later that night, alone in her tiny attic room, Elara discovered her drawings, sketches of dream worlds where she was loved, shredded on the floor. Serena's small footprints led away from the mess. Elara sank to her knees, sobbing. "Why me?" she whispered to the empty room. But the cliffhanger loomed. Serena's unfeeling face, etched in Elara's mind, hinted at deeper malice brewing in the child's heart. The incident marked a turning point. From then on, Elara's chores doubled, her freedoms curtailed. Anya's cruelty became overt, a daily whiplash that left invisible scars. Yet, in the quiet moments, Elara clung to her resilience, unaware that an observer from afar was already taking note. High school was a battlefield for Elara, a stark divide between her patched reality and Serena's gilded one. At Willow Creek High, Elara juggled advanced classes with part-time jobs, waitressing after school, and tutoring on weekends to afford supplies. Her uniform was second-hand, mended at the seams, while Serena, attending the same school, but in a different grade, flaunted designer backpacks and the latest gadgets. One morning, as Elara rushed to class with her frayed notebook, she collided with Serena in the hallway. "Watch it, loser!" Serena sneered, her friends giggling. "Don't you have servants' entrances or something?" Elara bit her lip, hurrying away. In class, she excelled, her grades a quiet rebellion. But exhaustion weighed her down. Nights were spent studying by flashlight after chores. During lunch, Elara sat alone in the corner, nibbling a stale sandwich. Across the cafeteria, Serena held court. "My mom's getting me a new phone for acing that test," she bragged loudly. "What about you, Elara? Still using that flip phone from the Stone Age?" Laughter erupted. Elara's cheeks flushed, but she forced a smile. "It's fine," she muttered. After school, Elara overheard Anya in the principal's office, where she volunteered as PTA president. Serena's a star, top of her class. As for Elara, well, she's trying, but she wouldn't last a day in a real competitive environment. Adopted kids, you know, always a bit behind. The words pierced Elara like daggers. She fled to the library, burying herself in books, dreaming of escape. That evening, at home, tension boiled over. Viktor, reviewing bills, sighed. "Elara's tuition is due. Maybe we can cut back on Serena's extras." Anya, slammed her hand on the table. Absolutely not. Serena deserves the best. Elara can work more hours if she has to. Turning to Elara, who was washing dishes, Anya added, "Hear that? Pull your weight, or you're out." Elara nodded silently, but inside resolve hardened. "One day, I'll prove them wrong," she whispered to herself later. The chapter's hook deepened as Elara walked home from her shift. A sleek black car slowed nearby, its tinted windows hiding an intense gaze watching her perseverance. Little did she know her school of hard knocks was about to intersect with a world of unimaginable wealth. Hunger was Elara's constant companion, both literal and emotional. Her tips from waitressing barely covered lunches, and home meals were meager portions after the family ate. One chilly afternoon, after a grueling shift at the diner, Elara clutched her last coin, a single dollar bill, as she walked through the park. Her stomach rumbled, protesting the skipped breakfast. Spotting a frail elderly woman on a bench, wrapped in threadbare shawls, Elara hesitated. The woman looked frail, her eyes hollow with need. "Excuse me, ma'am," Elara said softly, approaching. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up, her voice trembling. "Just hungry, dear. Haven't eaten in days." Without a second thought, Elara handed over her coin. "It's not much, but maybe it can buy you a coffee or bread from the vendor over there." The woman's eyes welled with tears. "Bless you, child. In a world so cold, your kindness warms my soul." They chatted briefly. The woman introduced herself as Lysandra, a name that carried an air of faded elegance. Elara shared snippets of her life, the chores, the neglect, finding solace in the stranger's empathetic nods. Unbeknownst to Elara, a handsome man in a tailored suit observed from afar. Cale Thorne, 25, heir to a billion-dollar tech empire, had been in the park for a meeting. His piercing blue eyes followed Elara's act of selflessness. "Remarkable," he murmured to himself. He had seen her before, at the diner, at school pickups, drawn by her quiet strength amid obvious hardship. As Elara walked away, waving goodbye to Lysandra, Cale approached the old woman discreetly. "That girl, she's special," he said. Lysandra smiled mysteriously. "Indeed she is. More than you know." Cale's interest piqued. He resolved to learn more about this girl who gave when she had nothing. That night, Elara reflected on the encounter. "It felt good to help," she told her reflection in the mirror. But the hook tightened. Cale, back in his opulent office, pulled up anonymous records. He had been subtly funding scholarships in the area, including one that covered Elara's tuition without her knowledge. "Who are you, Elara?" he wondered aloud, his gaze holding secrets yet to unfold. The diner buzzed with weekend crowds, but Elara's shift felt endless. Serena and her friends had shown up earlier, demanding service with snide remarks. "Hurry up, servant girl," Serena taunted. Elara served them silently, her eyes downcast. Then Cale entered, his presence commanding attention. He chose a booth in her section, his smile warm. Serena noticed immediately, fluffing her hair. "Hi there," she said boldly, approaching him. "I'm Serena. You look like you could use some company." Cale glanced at her politely but dismissively. "I'm fine, thank you." His eyes sought Elara instead. When she took his order, he leaned in. "Elara, right? I've seen you around. What are your dreams? Beyond this place?" Startled, Elara stammered. I want to study art, maybe design, but it's just a dream." Cale nodded, his gaze intense. "Dreams have a way of becoming reality. Tell me more." As they talked about her sketches, her love for colors, Serena fumed from afar. "How dare she?" she hissed to her friends. Cale ignored the glares, focusing solely on Elara. "You're stronger than you know," he said softly. The conversation flowed, a rare oasis in Elara's desert of pain. "Why are you interested?" she asked warily. Cale smiled enigmatically. "Let's just say I've been watching kindness in action." As he left, he slipped a wrapped package into her hand. A small token, he whispered. Back home. Elara unwrapped it, a delicate silver bracelet, engraved with strength in shadows. Her heart soared, her first real gift. But pain lingered. Anya's voice echoed in her mind, calling her unworthy. The silver bracelet glinted like a fragile star on Elara's wrist as she scrubbed the marble staircase at midnight. Serena's 10th birthday after-party had left the mansion looking like a war zone of glitter and spilled champagne. Anya's voice still rang in Elara's ears. If every crystal glass isn't sparkling by morning, you'll sleep in the garage with the dogs. Elara's fingers were raw, her knees bruised from kneeling. She paused to flex her wrist, and the bracelet caught the chandelier light. For one heartbeat, she allowed herself to smile. Kale's gift, a secret kindness no one could take away. Footsteps, sharp, deliberate. Anya descended in silk pajamas, her face a mask of thunder. What is that on your wrist? She hissed. Elara curled her hand protectively. A customer tipped it to me. Anya's eyes narrowed to slits. Customers don't give jewelry to waitresses. You stole it. No, I. Anya snatched Elara's arm, twisting until the clasp snapped. The bracelet skittered across the floor and landed in a puddle of spilled red wine. The silver dulled instantly, stained crimson. You ruin everything you touch, Anya spat. Just like you ruined my dress tonight. Elara hadn't been near Anya's wardrobe, but the accusation was already law. Serena appeared at the banister, clutching a ruined ivory gown. Wine splashed across the hem like blood. Look what she did, Mommy. I saw her sneak into your room. Elara's protest died in her throat. Serena's eyes glittered with triumph. Anya's slap came faster than thought, snapping Elara's head sideways. Pack a bag with nothing but the rags on your back. You're out. Mom, it's pouring, Viktor began from the hallway. Then she'll learn what the real world feels like. Anya shrieked. The front door slammed open. Rain lashed sideways, cold needles against Elara's skin as Anya shoved her onto the porch. Don't come back until you've scrubbed that bracelet clean with your tears. The lock clicked. Lights inside winked out one by one. Elara stood barefoot on the gravel, thunder growling overhead. The bracelet lay in the puddle inside. She could see it through the glass pane, mocking her. Rain soaked her thin dress in seconds. She had no phone, no money, no coat. She walked, past the wrought iron gates, past the manicured hedges that had once felt like prison bars. Lightning forked. For an instant the world was white and merciless. Elara's teeth chattered. Her mind replayed every cruelty in montage. The shredded drawings, the stolen cake, the slap that still burned. At the bus stop 2 miles down the hill, she collapsed onto the bench, shivering so violently the metal rattled. Headlights cut through the storm. A sleek black sedan slowing, wipers slashing. The window lowered. Kale Thorne stared out, raindrops purling on his lashes. Elara. She tried to stand, but her legs buckled. The last thing she felt was strong arms catching her before the darkness swallowed everything. Elara woke to the scent of cedar and warm linen. Not the musty attic. Not the garage. She bolted upright, heart hammering. Silk sheets slid from her shoulders. She was in a bed the size of her old room. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed a storm-battered coastline. Waves crashing against cliffs far below. Where? Her voice cracked. The door opened. Kale entered carrying a tray, steaming soup, crusty bread, a single red rose in a crystal bud vase. He wore a simple gray sweater, but everything about him screamed money. The watch that cost more than Anya's car, the quiet authority in his stride. You're safe, he said, setting the tray on the nightstand. You passed out. Hypothermia was knocking. Elara pulled the blanket higher. I can't stay here. They'll say I stole something again. Let them say. Kale's tone was steel wrapped in velvet. He sat on the edge of the bed, careful not to crowd her. Eat, then we talk. The soup was heaven. Rich chicken broth with herbs she couldn't name. Warmth spread through her frozen core. When the bowl was empty, Cale spoke. This is my home, Thorncliffe Manor. You're not a prisoner. The door's unlocked. But you're not going back to that house tonight. Elara's laugh was brittle. You don't know Anya. She'll call the police, say I ran away with family jewels. Cale's eyes darkened. She can try. He reached into his pocket and produced the silver bracelet. Polished, the wine stain gone, clasp repaired. Found this in the puddle. Thought you might want it back. Tears blurred Elara's vision. How did you? I have resources. He fastened it around her wrist, thumb brushing her pulse. And questions, but first sleep. He left her with a cashmere throw and a promise. Tomorrow, you decide what happens next. Morning light painted the room gold. Elara found Cale in a glass-walled gym, pummeling a punching bag with controlled fury. Sweat glistened on his back. He stopped when he saw her. Feel better? She nodded, clutching a borrowed robe. I can't pay for any of this. I'm not billing you. He toweled off. Walk with me. They strolled cliffside gardens, wind whipping Elara's hair. Cale spoke quietly. 3 years ago, I started an anonymous scholarship fund for Willow Creek students. One name kept surfacing. Elara Harlow, straight A's, 3 jobs, 0 support. I wanted to know why. Elara stopped walking. You paid my tuition. Every semester. His smile was crooked. I'm not a stalker, I swear. Just curious about the girl who smiled at customers while her own family starved her. Elara's knees weakened. All those late-night study sessions, the fear of bills, she'd never been alone. Cale took her hand. Let me ensure you never suffer again. Stay here. Finish school. Be free. Breakfast was served on a terrace overlooking the ocean. Fresh croissants, strawberries like rubies, coffee that tasted like liquid sunlight. Elara ate mechanically, waiting for the catch. Cale slid a leather folder across the table. Inside, bank statements, scholarship records, a photo of 7-year-old Elara accepting an art award. Anya conspicuously absent from the frame. I've been watching longer than you think, Cale admitted. Not creepily. My PI flagged unusual patterns, tuition paid, but the family never acknowledged it. Then I saw you at the diner, giving your last dollar to that old woman in the park. Elara's fork clattered. You were there. He nodded. I followed you home that night. Saw Anya lock you out in the rain. I was already on my way when you collapsed. The terrace doors burst open. A butler announced, Sir, the crest arrival is here. Cale led Elara to the grand foyer where a velvet case waited. He opened it to reveal a signet ring, gold, embossed with a thorn-wrapped crest. Thorn Enterprises. My family built half the tech you use daily. I've been undercover, learning the business from the ground up. The diner? A test. My father wanted me to understand struggle. Elara's head spun. The handsome customer was a billionaire heir. Cale knelt, ring in palm. I'm offering you more than shelter. A partnership. Resources. Justice. She stared at the bracelet on her wrist, then at him. Why me? Because you're the only person I've met who gives when she has nothing left. That's rarer than any fortune. Footsteps echoed. A sharply dressed woman entered. Cale's assistant, holding a tablet. Sir, the Harlows just posted on social media. They're claiming Elara stole the bracelet and ran off with a mystery sugar daddy. Hashtag adopted thief is trending. Cale's jaw clenched. Let the games begin. Across town, Anya Harlow's manicured nails cracked her phone screen as she refreshed the trending page. Hashtag adopted thief. 17 million impressions. Comments poured in. Poor Serena, imagine your sister robbing you blind. Viktor paced the living room. We should call the police, say she's missing. No, Anya snarled. We say she's dangerous. I always knew she'd snap. She opened her laptop, drafting a press release. Harlow family devastated by ingrate daughter's betrayal. Serena lounged on the couch, scrolling TikTok. Mom, look, someone posted a blurry photo of Elara getting into a fancy car. They're calling her a gold digger. Anya's smile was venomous. Perfect. By the time she crawls back, her reputation will be radioactive. But at Thorncliffe, Elara sat in a war room of screens. Cale's PR team monitored every post. We can counter, his lead strategist said, but it'll escalate. They're painting you as the victim. We'd have to reveal your identity. Elara's voice was steady. Do it. I'm done hiding. Within hours, Thorne Enterprises issued a statement. Elara Harlow is under the protection of Cale Thorne, CEO-in-waiting. Allegations of theft are baseless. Evidence to follow. Attached was security footage. Anya throwing Elara into the storm, Serena smirking. The internet exploded. Hashtag Justice for Elara trended higher. Anya's phone buzzed nonstop. Reporters, furious neighbors, sponsors pulling from Viktor's accounting firm. That night, Anya stormed into Serena's room. Pack your designer bags. We're going to that manor. If Elara thinks she can steal our future, she's dead wrong. Serena's eyes gleamed. Can I bring my new camera? I want to film her face when we expose her. Dawn painted Thorncliffe rose gold. Elara stood in the estate's vault, surrounded by jewels that could fund small countries. Cale fastened a necklace around her neck, emeralds and diamonds, a Thorne family heirloom. Wear it today, he said. Let the world see who protects you now. But across town, chaos reigned. Serena's bedroom looked like a crime scene. Drawers yanked open. Jewelry boxes emptied. The safe gaped. Inside, only dust where the Harlow matriarch's pearl necklace had been. Anya screamed, Serena! Where is grandmother's necklace? Serena's face blanched. I don't know. But her voice cracked. Truth was, Serena had a secret. Online poker. At 10 years old, she discovered her mother's tablet, hacked the parental controls, and spiraled into gambling streams. Losses piled up. First allowance, then Anya's emergency credit card. Last night, desperate, she'd pawned the heirloom for $50,000 in chips. Anya's eyes narrowed. We'll say Elara took it before she left. I have the spare key log. She was in the study yesterday. Viktor protested weakly. That's fraud. Shut up. Anya snapped. She dialed 911. Yes, officer? My adopted daughter robbed us blind and fled with a billionaire. We have evidence. By noon, squad cars surrounded Thorncliffe's gates. Reporters swarmed. Cale met the detectives on the front steps, Elara beside him in the emerald necklace. Miss Harlow, the lead officer said, you're under arrest for grand theft. Elara's knees buckled. Cale's arm steadied her. On what evidence? Anya stepped forward, waving papers. Security logs. And this. She held up a forged pawn ticket with Elara's initials. Serena smirked behind her mother, safe in the lie. The precinct smelled of bleach and despair. Elara sat on a metal bench, wrists raw from the cuffs they'd finally removed. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry hornets. A female officer shoved a camera into her face. Look here. Flash. The mugshot captured tear-streaked cheeks, wide hazel eyes, and a trembling lip. Hashtag arrested heiress exploded online within minutes. Back at Thorncliffe, Cale paced the marble foyer, phone welded to his ear. I want every frame of security footage from the Harlow house for the last month. And the pawn shop, yes, the one on 5th and Maple. His voice cracked like a whip. No, I don't care if it's Sunday. Wake the judge. On the precinct's cracked television, the news looped. Billionaire's girlfriend accused of stealing family heirloom worth $250,000. Anya's tearful interview played on repeat. We gave her everything, and this is how she repays us. Serena stood beside her, clutching a tissue, eyes dry as bone. Elara was fingerprinted, strip-searched, issued an orange jumpsuit 2 sizes too big. In the holding cell, a woman with track marks muttered, "First time princess!" Elara curled into the corner, hugging her knees. The bracelet Kale had fixed glinted on her wrist, the only thing they'd let her keep. She pressed it to her lips and whispered, "Please find the truth." At 2:17 a.m., the cell door clanged. "Harlow, you made bail." Elara stumbled out into Kale's arms. He smelled of rain and fury. "I'm sorry it took so long," he murmured into her hair. "But the real nightmare starts now." Outside, paparazzi swarmed. Kale shielded her with his coat, guiding her into a waiting SUV. As they sped away, Elara's phone, returned by the jail, lit up with notifications. Her mugshot had 42 million views. Comments ranged from "She deserves it" to "Free Elara." Kale's hand found hers. "They wanted to break you tonight. They failed." Elara stared at the city lights, blurring past. "Did they?" Her voice was hollow. Thorncliffe's war room looked like NASA mission control. Screens, whiteboards, coffee cups breeding mold. Kale stood at the center, sleeves rolled, eyes bloodshot. "Play it again." The pawn shop footage rolled, grainy but unmistakable. Serena, hood up, sliding the pearl necklace across the counter. The clerk counted out chips. Timestamp, 11:47 p.m., hours after Elara was locked out in the rain. Elara watched, numb. "She framed me for her gambling debt." Kale's fist dented the desk, and Anya forged the logs. "We have IP traces, her laptop, 3 a.m., editing the security files." His lead attorney, Marisol Vega, entered with a stack of subpoenas. "We file countercharges at 9 a.m., felony fraud, perjury, defamation. I want Anya and Serena in interrogation rooms by lunch." Kale turned to the room. "I'm holding a press conference at dawn. The world will see exactly who the thieves are." He faced Elara. "But only if you're ready to stand with me." She touched the mugshot bruise under her eye. "I'm done being their ghost." Dawn painted the sky crimson as Kale stepped onto the manor's front steps. Cameras flashed like lightning. "Yesterday, the woman I love was handcuffed for a crime she didn't commit. Today, I show you the truth." He played the pawn shop clip on a massive screen. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Inside, Elara watched from the window, heart pounding. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. Anya's voice, venomous. "Call off your dog, or the next video we release will ruin you forever." Elara's reply was ice. "See you in court." The investigation snowballed. Kale's PI, Diego, unearthed hospital records from 2002, Elara's birth. No father listed. Mother, El Voss. The name meant nothing until Diego cross-referenced it with missing persons. "Lysandra Voss," he said, sliding a faded photograph across the desk. A striking woman in her 30s, dark hair, Elara's eyes. Disappeared after a car accident. Baby presumed dead. But the infant's footprint on file matches Elara's adoption records. Elara stared at the photo. "She looks like me." Kale's voice was gentle. "We think Anya and Viktor paid off a corrupt social worker. Took you from the crash site." That night, Elara couldn't sleep. She wandered the manor's library, fingers trailing leather spines. A book fell, Global Tech Titans. On the cover, Lysandra Voss, CEO of Voss Dynamics, rumored net worth $18 billion. The old woman from the park stared back, younger, regal. Elara's knees buckled. "Kale!" He found her on the floor, book open. "The woman I gave my last dollar to." Kale knelt. "We invited her here, tomorrow, under the guise of charity. You deserve the truth face to face." Morning brought a helicopter to the manor's pad. The woman stepped out, elegant coat, silver-streaked hair, cane tapping. Lysandra Voss. Her eyes locked on Elara across the lawn and filled with tears. The drawing room smelled of lilies and anticipation. Elara stood rigid as Lysandra approached, cane forgotten. "Let me see you," the older woman breathed. Her hand, trembling, cupped Elara's cheek. "Your eyes exactly like mine." Cale stood back, giving space. Lysandra's voice cracked. "I was told you died in the crash. I searched for years, hospitals, morgues, black market adoption rings. I never stopped." Elara's tears fell. They said I was abandoned on a street. Lysandra's face hardened. "They lied. I was in a coma for weeks. When I woke, my baby was gone. The Harlows, they were foster parents assigned to me. They vanished with you." Security footage from the reunion leaked. 2 women embracing, sobbing. #LostHeiress trended globally. Voss Dynamics stock soared. Anya watched from her crumbling living room, face ashen. "That's impossible," she hissed. Serena scrolled frantically. "Elara Harlow is Lysandra Voss's secret daughter?" Lysandra held Elara at arm's length. "You're not just my daughter. You're my legacy, sole heir to everything I built." She produced a locket from her pocket. Inside, a baby photo of Elara and a lock of dark hair. "I kept this every day." Elara's voice broke. "I thought no one wanted me." Lysandra pulled her close. "I never stopped wanting you." The press conference was held in Voss Tower's glass atrium, sunlight fracturing into rainbows on marble floors. Elara stood between Cale and Lysandra, wearing a simple white dress that cost more than Anya's car. Cameras rolled live to 200 million viewers. Lysandra spoke first. 23 years ago, my daughter was stolen from me. Today, science confirms what my heart always knew." She held up the DNA report. 99.99% match. The room erupted. Elara took the mic, voice steady. "I was raised as a servant in the home of the people who took me. They starved me, framed me, jailed me. But blood doesn't lie. Neither does truth." Behind her, a screen displayed the adoption forgery. Anya's signature clear as day. Gasps echoed. Anya and Serena were escorted into the atrium by police, faces pale. "This is a mistake." Anya shrieked. "She's lying." Elara met her gaze. "The only mistake was yours, thinking you could erase me." Lysandra placed a diamond-encrusted key in Elara's hand. "This opens every door in my empire. Starting now, you walk through them as my daughter." The internet broke. #VossHeiress, #KarmaServed. Elara's mugshot was replaced by photos of her in Voss Tower, smiling beside her mother. The interrogation room was a gray box with one flickering bulb. Serena sat hunched, orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame, golden curls limp. Across the table, Detective Ruiz slid the pawn shop stills, Serena's face crystal clear under the neon sign. "Care to revise your story?" Ruiz asked. Serena's lip trembled. "It was just a loan. I was going to win it back." Anya burst through the door, flanked by officers. "Don't say another word." But the damage was done. Serena cracked like cheap glass. "It was me. I took the necklace. Mom said if we blamed Elara, the rich guy would pay us to keep quiet. We needed the money. Dad's firm is bankrupt." Tears streaked her mascara. "I didn't think they'd actually arrest her." Anya lunged. "You idiot child." A guard restrained her. In the observation room, Elara watched through the glass, Cale's arms steady around her shoulders. Lysandra stood on her other side, eyes glittering like polished steel. "Record everything," Lysandra instructed her lawyer. "I want this aired unedited." By nightfall, the confession clip hit every platform. #Serena Confesses trended above world leaders. The Harlow house, already on the market, sold at auction for pennies to cover debts. The courthouse steps were packed, cameras, protesters, fans waving #JusticeForElara signs. Judge Hargrove's gavel cracked like thunder. Anya and Viktor Harlow, you are ordered to issue a full public retraction and pay $5 million in reparations to Elara Harlow-Voss for fraud, defamation, and emotional distress. Anya's designer suit hung loose. Viktor's tie was askew. Microphones thrust forward. Anya's voice shook. We deeply regret our actions. Elara was never a thief. We fabricated evidence. We are sorry. The words tasted like ash. Reporters shouted. Will you return the adoption bonus you claimed? Anya paled. $50,000 from a shady agency. Now public record. Inside the courtroom, Elara sat regal in the front row, Lysandra's hand on hers. Cale leaned in. You okay? She nodded. Better than okay. The judge added, failure to pay within 30 days results in asset seizure, including the family home. That evening, moving trucks idled outside the Harlow mansion. Neighbors filmed as Anya carried out boxes, mascara streaking. A child's voice rang out. Look, the wicked stepmother's homeless. Rain slicked the Voss Tower penthouse windows. Elara stood in a silk robe, city lights glittering below like scattered diamonds. The doorbell chimed, unexpected at 11 p.m. Security feed showed Anya and Viktor in the lobby, soaked and shivering. Elara hesitated, then pressed the intercom. Let them up. They entered like ghosts. Anya's coat threadbare, Viktor clutching a soggy envelope. We're being evicted tomorrow, Viktor croaked. The bank took everything. Anya fell to her knees. Elara, sweetheart, please. Lend us something. Anything. We raised you. You raised me to scrub floors while Serena wore couture. Elara cut in, voice calm. You sold my childhood for a lie. Viktor opened the envelope. Old photos, Elara's baby bracelet, a lock of hair. We kept these. We did love you once. Anya's eyes darted to the opulent surroundings. Just $1 million. For Serena's future. Elara laughed, sharp and cold. Serena's future is a cell block. And yours is the consequence of every slap, every lie. She pressed the elevator button. Leave, or security drags you out. Anya lunged, nails raking Elara's arm. You ungrateful. Guards seized her. Viktor didn't resist. As the doors closed, Anya screamed, You'll regret this, you bastard child. The yacht sliced through midnight water, stars reflected in the Black Sea. Elara leaned against the rail, wind whipping her hair. Cale had blindfolded her after dinner, whispering, Trust me. Now the blindfold slipped away. The deck was lit by 1,000 fairy lights, a single table set with champagne and a velvet box. Cale. He knelt, box open. Inside, a ring, rose gold. A 5-carat diamond flanked by tiny emeralds. Elara Harlow-Voss, you turned my world upside down the day you gave away your last dollar. I don't want to live in a world where you're not by my side. Tears blurred the ring. Yes, she breathed. 1,000 times yes. He slid it on, it fit perfectly. Fireworks erupted overhead. Literally, Cale had arranged a private display. Colors bloomed across the sky as they kissed, salt air and champagne on their lips. Below deck, Lysandra watched via live stream, smiling through tears. My girl deserves the universe. Back on deck, Cale whispered, One more surprise. He pressed a remote. The yacht screen lit up with headlines. Harlow's charged with extortion. Recorded death threats. Anya's final voicemail played. Cross us again, and you'll disappear like your real mother should have. Elara's smile turned fierce. Let them come. We'll be ready. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and finality. Anya and Serena stood in orange jumpsuits, chains clinking. The judge read the charges. Extortion, conspiracy, attempted bribery of a witness. Evidence includes 47 recorded threats, the prosecutor stated, plus a plot to kidnap Miss Harlow-Voss for ransom. Anya's lawyer begged for mercy. Serena sobbed theatrically. The judge was unmoved. Anya Harlow, 12 years. Serena Harlow, 7 years juvenile facility until 18, then transfer. Gavel. Done. Outside, Elara and Kale stepped into sunlight. Paparazzi cheered, actual cheers. A little girl handed Elara a daisy. You're my hero. 6 months later, the wedding. Thorncliffe Manor, transformed into a fairy tale. 10,000 white roses, a string quartet. Lysandra walking Elara down an aisle of petals. Kale waited in a midnight blue tux, eyes shining. Vows were simple. Kale, I promise to protect your light, even when the world tries to dim it. Elara, I promise to remind you that love isn't earned, it's given. Rings exchanged. Hers the proposal diamond, his engraved strength in shadows. At the reception, Lysandra toasted. To the daughter I lost and found, and the man who helped bring her home. Midnight fireworks spelled Elara and Kale across the sky. Final scene. Elara and Kale on the cliff where it all began. She wore the silver bracelet, now paired with her wedding band. Think they're watching from their cells? Kale asked. Elara smiled. Let them. Every firework is a reminder. You reap what you sow. They kissed as the last burst faded. 2 silhouettes against a sky full of stars. Finally, gloriously free. The end.